Hey guys, everybody, welcome back to Budget Builds. We are finally legal in Michigan. I was here for about 13 days, finally got the plates on it. Took a lot of jumping through hoops, but it's done. So I'm excited to have that. I got one less thing to deal with now. I'm gonna head back to Mexico tomorrow, so got this done at the very last minute, but feels good to finally have that plate on there. And I'll just swing around here and give you an idea. So nothing special, but it's a pretty big deal to me. Got Michigan plate, I got Michigan registration, we got Michigan insurance. The Ramcharger is now finally legal in the US. Like I said, I had to jump through a lot of hoops to do this, primarily because I did a ton of research on this. I knew I didn't need a broker to do this. I had all the paperwork I needed, everything that said it was mine. I had proof of insurance on it in Mexico. I had the title in Mexico that shows my name as the owner. Just a million other documents. I'd done all the research. I knew I needed an HS7 form. I knew I needed a port of entry form. And when I got to the border, I actually called the head, told them I was coming. They told me to go to the FAR, P-H-A-R-R, Texas crossing, and go through the commercial line. Got up at 3 a.m. on a Friday, drove to that crossing, knowing that it would be open when I got there. Sure enough, I get there. Mexico side won't let me through because I don't have a broker. I call the US side and tell them what's going on. They said, well, yeah, you have to have a broker. And I insisted I didn't need one. He said, try the Hidalgo Bridge. So I left there, went to the Hidalgo Bridge, which is not far from where I was at. Got there, same crap. Same thing happened. Need a broker, won't let you go through. I can go into the US as a tourist, but I cannot import the vehicle there. Needed a broker. At this point, I'm pretty nervous. I'm like, what the heck? I got kind of everything riding on this. My brother had a flight into Texas. I was going to pick him up. I needed all that paperwork so I could get this thing back into the US and get that plate. So I proceeded to come through as a tourist, got it into the US, then I started making phone calls. Started out in Chicago because I'm in very southwest Michigan. Closest customs office is probably the Chicago office, or so I thought at the time. They suggested calling another office closer to me. Got a hold of somebody there who was super awesome to work with. And at first he said I was probably gonna have to run it up to Canada to get it back in, get the port of entry stamp. But he agreed no broker was necessary and was baffled to why the guys in Texas were telling me that. So, but he told me give him a couple of days and he would do a little research on it and see what was going on. So after he did that, he called me back probably 3 days later, said he would take care of it. I didn't have to leave the country again with it. Took it up to his office. I got the port of entry stamp that I needed. Then I had to have a local state sheriff come in and do a VIN inspection on it. Got that checked off. Then I went to go transfer the title. And next problem, I didn't get the title translated in English. So not only did it have to be translated into English, but it had to be notarized. So left the DMV, came home, looked up where I could get that done. Unfortunately, there was very little options for as local places to get it done. They suggested maybe a local college, called them. They were kind of back and forth about if they did it. So I started looking online. I found a service that did it. Costed me about $60. Had it in about 2 hours. Notarized copy of the title in English. Brought that back today to the DMV. Got it done. And all said and done, bringing this thing into the US, because I was in Mexico for work purposes, I got this thing into the US with the cost of registering it and the cost of the translation and notarizing of the title. I'm in about $166 plus all the gas from driving it to Mexico, but the legal cost of getting this thing done into the US and a US plate on it, 166 bucks. So if you're interested in importing a vehicle that is over 25 years old and it's for personal use, a broker is not necessary. Now, can you do it for something that's newer? It'll definitely be a challenge. Can you do it for non-personal use? It's gonna be a challenge. I wouldn't suggest it. But a 25-year-old vehicle for personal use, broker is not necessary, and don't let them tell you it is. If you go through Texas, you'll have a challenge. I was told, try a different border crossing, try a different state. I'm not comfortable driving around in Mexico a bunch in border towns, so I just wanted it out of there. And glad I got out of there because I expected at the border to probably pay $1,000 in tariffs and other fees, importation fees, to get this out of there. And you know, I'm sure the guy in Texas, if he would have allowed me to go through, it would have charged me all of that. So it actually ended up working out in my favor, not dealing with it at the border and getting it into the U.S. Now, I was working full time this whole week, so it did take me, you know, 13 days to get all the paperwork sorted out, get everything I needed done to get this finally registered. And you know, the other problem I had is I couldn't find an insurance agency in the U.S. that would insure it, and the DMV says it had to be insured before they'll take care of transferring the title. So it was kind of a catch-22, I guess. So I did end up finding an insurance guy. A good friend of mine recommended his insurance guy. He had no problem doing it, got it done. So I had insurance on it before I went to transfer the paperwork this afternoon. So it's got U.S. insurance, it's got a U.S. registration, U.S. plate. I am the owner of it and can legally drive it here. And they renewed the tab on it, or put the tab sticker for 2026. So it's a legal truck in the United States. Can be done. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got on this video. It's a short one, but thanks again for watching. And we'll have some more videos on the Ramcharger coming. This will be a short one, but I got a couple other things in mind I want to do with it. I'm actually heading back to Mexico for a couple more months before I'm permanently back in the U.S. in July. So looking forward to that. Anyway, like, subscribe, follow, share it. Thanks again.